Hello children. So I hope you have understood what we have learned in the last class under plant breeding. We had studied about the different methods of plant breeding to increase the resistance of the plant towards the insects, and then we had also studied how the quality of the food can be improved by different techniques such as biofortification. Biofortification means it can reduce hidden hunger. That is, though the people they are eating a lot of that, there are food for some people, but there are some important nutrients which is needed by the people, okay, that is deficient in it. So that leads to another many kinds of deficiency diseases like night blindness or beriberi or scurvy and all that. So in order to reduce that is certain other important nutrients are also included, that is into the food, to increase the quality of the food, that is to increase vitamins or proteins or minerals inside the food. So this is mainly done by, that is in India it is done by Indian Agriculture Research Institute at New Delhi. So they have improved a very wide range of crops like wheat or maize, and also different kind of vegetables also, as I told you in the last class, have been developed to increase the quality of the food, the nutrients in the food, the minerals or the vitamins present in the food. So now let's go to the other aspect of under plant breeding. Here nothing but, instead of, now you can see the crops which I told about, rice, wheat, maize and all. They are made up of many cells. So what are they? They come under multicellular. So plants and animals, so we can classify them as some animals which are made up of single cell or which are made up of many cells. Single cell animals are known as unicellular animals, and there are also unicellular organisms and there are also multicellular organisms. Till now, when we had studied about the dairy farming or poultry farming or cultivated plants such as rice, wheat, maize and all, they all come under multicellular. Many cells are there present in these plants or animals, from which it is the main source of food for us. Now there is an alternative, that is this traditional or conventional method under the dairy farming or poultry farming. It is not sufficient, or under which we have studied about plant breeding also, the food is not at all sufficient for ever increasing population in the world. So to increase the production, that is, there is an alternative, some shift has been done from the conventional method of crop field, that is cultivation, to some other field. So in this technique which we are going to learn is, that is certain single cell organisms, okay, single cell organisms are used for producing large quantities of protein in it. Alright, so that single cell organism nothing but unicellular organisms. So the food which we get from single cell organisms, we can classify them as single cell protein. It is known as single cell protein, or it is known as SCP. In single cell protein method technique, what happened? The microorganisms, for example spirulina or Methylophilus methylotrophus, that are the main examples which you are going to study. These microorganisms are used to produce large quantities of protein. Now why this is needed? Okay, single cell protein means, that is to increase the biomass. You can see that now the food which people consume, it is not only from vegetables or plants and all. We also depend on animals for food. We depend on, that is we get from plants, we are getting vegetables, fruits, various crops, pulses, okay, then cereals like rice, maize, etc. All these we get from plants, and even from animals we have studied in under poultry farming. We get egg, we get meat, that is in dairy farming, milk, other than that is we get milk from that, and also we have studied fish and fish products due to pisciculture, and then also from honeys. Okay, honeybee culture, that is apiculture. We are seeing how honey can be collected from this one, honeybees. So all these we have studied. Now apart from these, all are multicellular organism. Now we will see that there is a very much need for large quantity of proteins in the food. So how that can be achieved? That can be achieved is by growing That is, the people have shifted from consuming not only the food from the plants, but also the people, they started feeding on the meat. Okay, like cow or buffalo or goat or sheep and all, or hen. So for that quantity, so the food is needed both by humans and as well as it is needed by the animals for producing large amount of meat. So you can see that for in the food chain, you know, plants are nothing but they are primary producers. They are producers. They produce different vegetables and fruits and all. They are in turn, they are eaten by the primary consumers. Primary consumers are in turn, they are eaten by the secondary consumers. So there is a whole food chain where one, that is, their primary consumers are dependent on plants. The secondary consumers are in turn dependent on the secondary consumers are dependent on the primary consumers. So you can see the whole food chain where each and each level of the this one food chain, the animals are dependent on each other. So for increasing the food, the single cell protein technique is used. So for example, the micro here, that is, the single cell can produce large quantities of biomass, that is nothing but protein. So here, for example, the microorganisms like spirulina. Spirulina is nothing but it is a blue-green algae. You must have learnt in the earlier classes, it's a blue-green algae and it can be used for producing large quantities of protein, and it also will be helpful in production of large protein other than dependent on the crop cultivation or rice, wheat and all that, maize. So the spirulina, what happened, it is a blue-green algae. So this is a single cell. The main advantage of growing spirulina is it is not very environmental friendly, it will not lead to environmental pollution, and then it has high quantity of protein in it, it has high quantity of different vitamins in it. Then carbohydrates, it's a rich source of carbohydrates. It also has various minerals in it. Okay, so minerals like iron, okay, a little bit of calcium, vitamin A, vitamin C and all which is needed. So this is nothing but a biomass which we get the food from a single cell such as spirulina. This technique is known as single cell protein or SCP. Here what happens is the main association of spirulina for example is with the astronauts. Have you heard about Sunita Williams, Rakesh Sharma and all? Yeah, they are the famous Indian astronauts. So now what do these people, they consume when they go for the space mission. So the main food which these people, that is astronauts and all, they consume is nothing but the spirulina. It will be provided, it will be given to them, and this will be helping them to maintain the high immunity level, and also it is a rich source of protein and it has various vitamin content in it. There is another this one microorganisms which can be used for growing, that is for getting high quantity of protein is nothing but Methylophilus methylotrophus. Methylophilus methylotrophus. This is second example, very important. Learn the example, do the spellings properly. So this is another microorganism which can be cultivated, which can be grown on a large scale to increase the productivity of protein. So food can be not only the plants and all, we can depend on even the single cell microorganisms for our food. Alright, so here the main the advantage of single cell protein is they are very easy to grow. Okay, they need, so what are the medium which we can use for growing them? So they can be grown on a large scale. It's nothing but on a large scale biomass production can be done. Production from single cell is nothing but SCP. Okay. So what is needed? Where you can grow these microorganisms? They grow very well in the waste water, you can see. Like suppose potato processing plants are there, where potato is used, potatoes are used for making chips and all that. So the waste water from that plant or molasses or straw, dry grass, hay can be used for growing spirulina, or another that is microorganism which can be used is Methylophilus methylotrophus. So they can be grown. It's very easy to grow. They give a very high yield. Okay, so little bit of 20 grams and all is needed. It gives a large quantity of some tons of protein can be developed from spirulina. So it gives high yield. Then it is very easily, it can be grown on molasses. It can be grown on that is wastewater, that is which we obtain from the potato processing plants. Then we can also get it from molasses, that is sugarcane and all, where it is processed and all. So the waste from that can be used. So because they are main source of sucrose, carbohydrate in it. So these microorganisms can be grown well in that. And another one is it will not lead to any environmental pollution. Alright, and it gives high quantity of nutrients like proteins, vitamins, carbohydrates, minerals, and apart from that, it's also it gives high yield of biomass. High yield of biomass can be obtained from these microorganisms, and also it will not lead to, it does not cause environmental pollution, right? And also you can see that another main advantage is for the ever increasing population of the world, it gives a large, it can serve the demand for food, that is for the ever increasing population of the world, and also prevent, that is starvation and all that to a large extent. Now I told you this is also, it is a main food. For example, it is NASA people and also when the astronauts and all, they go to the space, so they cannot survive on the food which we are eating. They have to be given little capsules and all. So what are these capsules? So they have these capsules and all, small food packets and all, which is mainly, it is rich in spirulina. And that in turn is having high quantity of protein, vitamins, carbohydrates, everything, all essential nutrients, 5 important nutrients which are needed for our health and all that is included in this spirulina. Another microorganism example I told you which can be used for single cell protein is Methylophilus methylotrophus. Now this is in the same term, you must have heard about mushroom culture. Now you can see that in some part, many parts, this mushroom cultivation is another field where it is along with the agriculture and all, it is also very advantageous. Also it's very economic, very easy to grow on dry that is straw and all that, and very easy to grow and large. It's a lot of beneficial. Button mushrooms are there, which is very high quantity of vitamins are there in it, minerals are there, fiber, lot of fiber present in it. So along with the single cell protein, you can also see that is in the line with mushroom cultivation. So these two, single cell protein as well as mushroom cultivation and all, it has helped in production, that is to help large supply of food, to give a large amount of food to the people. Next you can see that, and also it has been calculated how much amount of food can be developed by this. So for example, that is we get meat, milk and all. Meat is a rich source of protein which we get from cow, buffalo, hen and all that. So for in the food chain I told you this whether it is a cow, okay, it feeds on plant, that is in the food chain. So what happened, suppose a cow which is around 250 to 300 kgs, so it needs around 1 kg of cereals. Cereal has to be fed to them, that is so much of cereal, 3 to 4 kgs of cereal has to be given to them to get only get around at least approximately 1 kg of meat from them. That is the proteins which we get from the animals like the dairy farming, buffalo or cow. But in the case of spirulina, that is we can compare, that is only 200 grams of spirulina we can get around 25 tons of protein can be obtained from merely 200 grams of spirulina. So that is the large scale biomass production large scale food which we can get from single cell organism. So this is also an alternative source, and it is going to be the future. In future, lot and lot the people are going to be dependent on these microorganisms with the scale in which there is population is increasing, right? So next we will see what is the other technique. Hope you have understood. Please, the examples of the microorganisms are important. One is blue-green algae, that is spirulina, and other one is Methylophilus. It gives a high yield, high rich quantity of protein in it, and also it is very easy to grow, and it needs very not a large scale production like a field and all that. On a small scale it can be produced on the nutrients, that is the medium. Mainly it's nothing but the sewage water also some people, and even the animal manure. It can be grown on animal manure or on even in the sewage, right? Next and last we will see, that is how to increase the food production, that is crop and all. When we are growing, that is when we are crops, when we grow from seed, hybrid varieties, high yield seeds and of which we have learned. Himagiri variety is there, we have learned different pusa, sem 2, 3 and all, beans variety, brassica variety and all. When we are growing all that, yes, it gives some amount of the crops food to the world, but the traditional, that is the conventional method which we have seen, technique is not sufficient for the ever increasing population. So another alternative method for growing plants, in order to grow thousands of plants from one single part of the plant, there is another culture which has been created, that is very important technique. It is known as tissue culture. So in tissue culture what happened, it is a technique of growing plants, that is thousands of plants from a single cell. It's not only the reproductive part of the plant like the male gamete or the female gamete, any part of the plant, you know, that can be grown from the root, or it can be, the cell can be from the stem or the leaves. So growing thousands of plants from any part of the plant. Okay, so it's known as, the technique of growing thousands of plants from any part of the plant is known as tissue culture. The part of the plant from which thousands of plants can be grown, that part is known as explant. And the part of the plant, it can be a cell taken from the stem, it can be taken from root, or it can be taken from the leaves. It's not like the fertilization of the male gamete or the female gamete which gives rise to the fruit or the seeds and all. Other than the reproductive part, other parts of the plant can also be used for producing large number of plants. That is, technique is known as tissue culture. Then the capacity of a plant, okay, the capacity to grow plants from any single part of the plant is known as totipotency. Totipotency, that is the capacity to grow plants from any part of the plant. Any part of the plant which can be known is known as explant. Okay, so that capacity to grow plants from any part of the plant is known as the totipotency, and the technique used for producing, that is the plant from any part of the plant, is known as tissue culture. And how it is grown? It is grown in vitro. That means in certain nutrient medium inside a test tube or a petri dish. That is, say the cell is taken and it is grown inside a nutrient medium. From there, what happened? And the nutrient medium. That also I tell you what are the contents, what are the things which should be present in the nutrient medium. And it is grown in vitro. So in vitro technique of growing thousands of plants from any part of the plant is known as tissue culture. So, and for that, and in vitro inside a nutrient medium. Now, this nutrient medium is very important. What are the things, important nutrient mediums which will be seen? What are the things should be present? First and foremost, of course, water should be present. Next one, there is a jelly like gelatinous structure thing which we will be using, that is a binding component, it is known as agar-agar. Okay. Next one, which with the nutrient medium, like it can be a small petri dish or it can be grown inside a test tube. The single cell of the plant is taken. Okay, this is a single cell from any part of the plant and it is grown inside a nutrient medium. And nutrient medium will be providing all the nutrients needed for this cell to grow. Now what are the things this cell need to grow? One is water, agar-agar, then there will be lot of supply of vitamins in it, vitamin A, vitamin C and all. Then minerals, large quantity of minerals will be there. Nutrient medium has water, agar-agar, vitamins, minerals. Then it has amino acids which are there. Then minerals, you can actually classify the minerals, maybe it can have iron in it or it can have calcium which is needed for the cell to grow. Then you can see amino acids also. Amino acid, it helps in production of proteins. And then you can see it also has the growth regulators. The nutrient medium also has growth regulators in it for helping the cell to grow. So which are the growth regulators? Mainly it will be having auxins. Okay, and another one cytokinin. So these are the main growth regulators which are present in the nutrient medium. So tissue culture is nothing but it is a technique of growing plants, large scale production of plant from any cell, any part of the plant. So in vitro, inside the nutrient medium, any part of the plant is known as explant. And it can be, the cell can be taken from a stem, root or leaves, and it is grown in vitro means inside the nutrient medium. It can be grown inside a test tube or it can be inside a petri dish. And very, very important for tissue culture is that it should be in a very sterile condition. It should not be contaminated. Contaminated, you know that molds are present during this rainy season or anything. The fungus spores will be present. So that will cause the production of molds. So this whole tissue culture process cannot, that is one main disadvantage in it. That is, it comes in, that is, fungus starts growing into that. So that all condition has to be taken care. It should be in a perfect sterile condition. Any part of the plant is grown in a nutrient medium. The nutrient medium consists of water, agar-agar, then vitamins, minerals, and one more important thing is what is the source of food. So it will have sucrose. That is 7th point, sucrose. Sucrose is nothing but source of carbohydrate which will help the cell to grow. Right. So this the capacity of a plant, that is the capacity of a plant to grow from any part of the plant is known as totipotency. So this is about the tissue culture. Now what are the advantages? How can we, what is the main thing is the plant which is grown from tissue culture will be exactly like the parent. So what happened? It will be like a clone of the parent. It will be genetically similar to the parent. So the plants which we grow from tissue culture, they are known as soma clones. So the plants which is grown by tissue culture are known as soma clones. Soma clones are genetically identical to their parents. Like we can see that it's like a carbon copy or Xerox copy, similar to the parents. All the properties or characteristic what is present in the parents will be inside the clone. So a very high, the main thing is when you go for the tissue culture, a healthy plant having all different NEs, whatever is needed, disease resistant and all that, that kind of healthy plant is selected for this purpose. So the plants which we get from these. Okay, it is known as, after the tissue culture, they are known as soma clones. Clones means they resemble their parents. So they are genetically identical to the parents, having all the features. If the plant is producing the violet lichen pea, violet flowers, even the clones will be, thousands of clones which are being produced, they also will be having the similar to the parent, the violet flowers. Or the, if it is a white color flower producing plants, the clones, that is the plants which are grown also will be producing white color flowers only. So that is the meaning of that. Next, that is one I told you, what are soma clones. Then another advantage, so we can, this is a major advantage, we can develop thousands of plants from the plant, that is if the parent plant has all the very good high yielding quality plants, even we can produce thousands of plants from by using tissue culture. Another advantage of this is we can also, that is by tissue culture, we can also detect and also we can produce the that is disease, the virus, that is plants, the main we have studied earlier that some plants are infected with virus. There are certain pathogens which are infecting plants and all, even animals. Okay, now you know that we are really about the pandemic which this virus corona and all which is being causing to the human. So similar to that, even the plants are also prone to certain pathogens which attack plants. So that also can be prevented by using tissue culture. So here in tissue culture, virus-free plants can be developed. So it helps in producing virus-free plants. So virus-free plants can be produced because you can see that here the mean, if this is the part of the plant, and we can see here, this is nothing but there is the lateral meristem and this top part, it is known as apical meristem. Apical meristem and the axillary meristem. Axillary meristem. Now, to produce virus-free plants, the cell is taken from the apical meristem or from the axillary meristem. Why? Because these two parts are not infected by virus. First. Second one, they divide very, very quickly. Than the division of the virus, they divide more efficiently, and then they are not affected by any virus. So in order to develop, that is virus-free plants, we mainly take the meristem. Okay, apical meristem, the cells will be taken from apex of the plant, that is apical meristem, or it can be taken from the axillary or lateral meristem. And this is known as, that is meristem culture. Meristem culture. So using, that is another advantage of tissue culture, that is we can grow the plants, that is a cell can be taken from the apical meristem or from the axillary meristem, and it can be grown in vitro inside a nutrient medium. The nutrient medium which is having all this, it has water, agar is a binding, it's a gel, okay, gelatinous substance, then it has, which the nutrient medium will be having vitamins, minerals, carbohydrates like sucrose, amino acid which is needed for protein production, and growth regulators like cytokinin and auxins, alright, for developing the cell. So first use of tissue culture advantage is soma clones, that is genetically identical plants can be produced, thousands of plants can be produced from a single parent which gives a very high yield. Second one, virus-free plants can be taken, that is if a plant is infected with a virus, the apex and the meristem and the that is apical meristem and the axillary meristem will not be infected by the virus because it divides very fast. So the rate of division of cell division is very fast at the apex and axillary meristem. So these two parts are generally not infected by virus. So these parts are taken for tissue culture. So that method is known as meristem culture. So that is another advantage of tissue culture. Many plants can be grown. Disease-free plants can be grown, and also it can be, that is the cell which is needed for that, even that can be genetically, it can be modified. Alright, cell can be selected for this method. Next we will see is another interesting variety of that is in technique. It is there in plant cultivation. Another important, that is very interesting feature, that is known as somatic hybridization. Okay. Now you know that the apple and this tissue culture has been, it is used in to cultivate, that is it is applied in the field of apple, tomato, okay, then banana, many fruit varieties and all have been developed by using tissue culture. Large scale production of apple, tomato, oranges and all has been done. Now, so you know that apple tree gives only apple, tomato gives tomato, and also you can see we get potato from a potato plant, right? So that is in tissue culture or normal cultivation which we have seen. There is another interesting technique. What if we get an apple from an orange plant, or we get orange, or we get a fruit which has combination of both apple and this one orange, or a vegetable which have combination of both potato and tomato in it. Okay, so if a vegetable, that is the upper part of the plant, can produce tomato, and potato is an underground stem, so potato can be grown. So that's an interesting factor. So that can be done by another method known as somatic hybridization. Somatic hybridization. So in somatic hybridization, suppose you want to cultivate a plant, that is which can give both quality, that is both potato or a tomato. What you are going to do? So just look at this, that technique we are going to use in the somatic hybridization. So for that, the plant cell is taken, okay, which has a cell wall and cell membrane, and just write again. So in somatic cell hybridization, what happened? A plant cell is taken, alright, and here suppose it is a plant cell from parent A. Two different varieties of plants are being cultivated. This is parent A. So the plant cell is taken, and then this is the cell wall, and this is the plasma membrane. And this is a cytoplasm, food vacuole and all other cytoplasm, where all the other cell organelles are present. Now in this method, what happened? Two cells are taken where the cell wall is dissolved by using certain chemical, that is polyethylene glycol. It is taken, and then cell wall, it is being dissolved first, that is using certain enzyme. That is, cell wall is nothing but it is made up of cellulose. Cell wall is made up of cellulose. So here a cell from one parent it is taken, and it contains a cell wall, which is surrounded by a plasma membrane and cytoplasm which has lot of cell organelles in it. The first step in this is the cell wall of the plant is being dissolved. Dissolving cell wall in certain enzyme. So the enzymes which we are going to use is nothing but cellulase and pectinase. So there are two enzymes. So the cell is put into that, so it will dissolve the cell wall. So you will get a protoplast, that is a cell without the cell wall is known as protoplast. So it is a method of isolating the protoplast, that is removal of the cell wall. So isolated protoplast. So protoplast is nothing but a cell which is not having a cell wall. Plant cell, we are going to employ this one. Plant cell which doesn't have a cell wall. Cell wall is dissolved by putting into a enzyme that is known as cellulase or pectinase. Then similarly another cell is taken, and then you can look into the diagram now. Suppose there are two cells now. The plasma membrane, the vacuole, the many cell organelles present here, nucleus. Okay, nucleus. Endoplasmic reticulum, ribosomes, vacuole and all. So the cell now, when it is kept in cell, the enzymes like cellulase and pectinase, it is only left out with plasma membrane. So this is from one parent and another plant. This is plant 1. Another plant cell can be taken, the nucleus, vacuole with a proper, that is plasma membrane with all the different cell organelles, Golgi bodies. Alright, so these two cells, that is having the cell wall, now it is known as isolated protoplast. This is plant cell 1 and this is another plant cell from plant 2. Now what happened? These two are put into a medium, that is polyethylene glycol, PEG. So these two cells are, that is, it is put into a this one polyethylene glycol, that is, it will help in the fusion of two cells. So of plant cell 1 and plant cell 2. Right. So polyethylene glycol will be dissolving the cell, and then what happens? There will be fusion of these two cells. So it is known as somatic hybrid. Somatic hybrid. So first you take the cell, dissolve it in the enzymes like cellulase and pectinase to dissolve cell wall. So you will get the protoplast, isolated protoplast, with that is a cell without the cell wall. It has a plasma membrane, and now the two cells are taken, okay, and then it is put into a solution known as polyethylene glycol or PEG, which helps in the fusion of two cells, that is cell from plant 1 and cell from plant 2. So you will get a somatic hybrid. Now somatic hybrid, it can be grown as a single cell, and then from this what happens, the main, this is nothing but the plant which we are getting from that is a somatic hybrid which we get. So this is nothing but the that is polyethylene glycol will only help in, it will help in the fusion of two cells, leading to the development of a cell. This cell will further divide, and then it gives rise to a new plant. So this method is known as somatic hybridization, where isolated protoplast are obtained from the plants and which are made to fuse using polyethylene glycol. The cell wall is first removed, and then two cells are made to fuse to get a somatic hybrid. Now this the main example of this somatic hybridization is nothing but a plant, that is pomato. Pomato is being developed, that is the fusion of two cells, that is one parent, it is taken as tomato, and other cell which is taken from potato. So these two, that is two different varieties of plants are taken all together. They are fused together, characteristics of both the parents. So this tomato will be having both the characteristics of both. It will have a characteristic of potato as well as that of tomato. Here you can see the tomato can be grown on the upper part area, and the underground part the tomato can be obtained. So this is an important topic. It is known as somatic hybridization, where we are using isolated protoplast for growing plants. Okay, so isolated protoplast is obtained by dissolving the cell wall of the plant by putting into the into the, that is cell dissolving digesting enzymes known as cellulase and pectinase. It dissolves the cellulose, out of which the cell wall is made, and then two cells are being fused. And then this cell, to get a single cell, the single cell divides many times, and this can be used for growing a totally new variety of plant, and that is known as a somatic hybrid. And somatic hybrid has all the characteristics of both the parents, that is, it has characteristics of both. For example, it is tomato and plant, potato, so it will be having both the characteristics in them. So this is known as a somatic hybrid. So till now we had learned, in this class we learnt about the different techniques other than the conventional and traditional method of breeding plants. We studied about the single cell protein SCP, where microorganisms are used for developing more biomass production, high yield of food, that is protein which can be given, like spirulina or Methylophyllus methylotrophes. Then we had studied about that is tissue culture, which is also, it leads to a large scale production of food, other than like the crop production, like by using single cell, that is single cell from any part of the plant. It can be a stem, it can be a root or leaves. It can be grown in vitro inside a nutrient medium. The nutrient medium, I told, it will contain, it has the main ingredients which will be there is water, agar-agar is a binding medium, vitamins, minerals. Vitamins, it can be a supplement of A or C and all. Then amino acids for production of protein, and then growth regulators like auxins and cytokine, and more important, it also has a source of carbohydrate, that is sucrose. So the capacity of a plant to grow from a single cell, I told it is known as totipotency. And then tissue culture it is used to develop soma clones. It also helps in production of virus-free plants, that is disease infected. If a healthy plant is there, we can also develop virus-free, disease-free plants by using the meristems, that is apical meristem and axillary meristem, that is known as meristem culture. There are two advantages. Then in the end we have studied about somatic hybridization, where the characteristic features of both two different varieties of plants can be combined to get a single plant. For example, and for that the cell is taken first, which is that is cell wall dissolving enzymes like cellulase and pectin is used, which is used for dissolving the cell wall altogether, and then from that isolated protoplast is obtained. Isolated protoplast of two different plants are taken, and then it is put into a solution of, it is grown in a solution of PEG, polyethylene glycol, which helps in the fusion of both the cell, and then it leads to the production of a somatic hybrid. So the cell produced is known as somatic hybrid, and this will divide many times, and which will be helpful in production of a new plant having both the characteristic of both the parents. So tomato is an example from that. You can also get an apple and an orange mix. Let's see who will try to do that. Okay, thank you.